So, let's get something out of the way. Graphics are cool, nobody's saying they aren't. But seeing every bead of sweat on a character's forehead in 4K, or the glimmer of ray tracing sunlight through a virtual forest can be breathtaking. But here's the thing, are we, as gamers, really asking for all of this? Or is it just the gaming industry trying to sell us the next shiny thing? For years now, AAA developers have been locked in a relentless race towards photorealism. It's like they all attended a meeting where someone said, "What if games looked like reality, but more real?" And nobody questioned it. The result? Development times are ballooning. 5 to 8 years for a single-player game. That's an entire generation of consoles. By the time these games hit the shelves, players are already anticipating the next big thing. And let's not even talk about the costs, financially and creatively. When so much effort is poured into rendering hyper-detailed blades of grass, something inevitably gets left behind. And that something is gameplay. Remember when games were fun because they were, well, games? They didn't need to look like a Pixar movie to hook you. They just needed to work, to challenge and to immerse. A lot of modern AAA titles seem to have forgotten that. Let's look at Elden Ring. At first glance, it's not the flashiest game. If you squint your eyes, some of its textures might even remind you of last-gen consoles. But does that stop it from being one of the most immersive gaming experiences of all time? Absolutely not. Its world feels alive, and its art direction is second to none. Every tree, every ruin, every terrifying boss, everything fits. It doesn't try to wow you with photorealism. It uses style, atmosphere, and pure artistry to suck you in. Then I'm using Hollow Knight as an example again. It's 2D, it's dark, and it's dripping with charm. The art style isn't just pretty, it tells a story. The same can be said for Cuphead. Who hasn't been utterly floored by those hand-drawn animations? But beyond its vintage cartoon aesthetic, it's the fluent gameplay and brutal difficulty that keeps players coming back for more. These games prove you don't need to chase realism to stand out. And let's not forget the classics. Games like Shadow of the Colossus still hold up today. Not because of their graphical fidelity, but because of their distinct art styles. These older games were designed with longevity in mind. They knew their limitations and turned them into strengths. On the flip side, try going back to early attempts at photorealism. Remember when those games blew your mind? Now they just look awkward. Their once revolutionary visuals aging faster than a carton of milk in the sun. But let's be fair, photorealism isn't all bad. Titles like Red Dead Redemption and Cyberpunk 2077 Phantom Liberty show us what's possible when graphics serve the gameplay rather than overshadow it. These are games where the visuals enhance the immersion without completely dominating the experience. They're the exception though, not the rule. The truth is, timeless games are built on strong foundations: gameplay, creativity, and player engagement. Graphics are just the icing on the cake. Yet, as development times stretch and budgets skyrocket, it feels like the industry has forgotten this. Studios are spending so much time perfecting reflections and puddles that they're losing sight of the things that actually keep players engaged and coming back. And let's talk about sustainability for a second. 8 years to develop a single game. That's not just inefficient, it's borderline irresponsible. Studios are burning out their teams, and by the time the game launches, the tech it was designed for is already outdated. Meanwhile, you have indie developers that are out there thriving, creating memorable experiences with small teams and limited resources. Take a look at Dave the Diver, an incredible indie game all about catching fish and diving. You have blocky characters but incredible crafted environments and very fun challenges. But it's not just nostalgia or art styles pulling players back to these timeless classics or indie games. There's an underlying philosophy at play here. less can sometimes be more. When developers lean into constraints of simpler graphics or hardware, they're focused to innovate in ways that engage the player's imagination. It's why games like Darkest Dungeon or Undertale, with their minimalist visuals, can deliver such unforgettable experiences. These games create the space where players don't just see the world, they feel it, filling in gaps with their own emotions and interpretations. Only less than 2% of my viewers are subscribed, so if you appreciate the videos, please consider subscribing to my channel. When the visuals aren't spoon-feeding every single detail, the brain is working harder, and that makes for a deeper connection to the games. And let's not forget about the importance of accessibility. Games that prioritize stylized visuals and optimized performance are inherently more exclusive. They can run on a wider range of systems, welcoming players who might not own the latest 2000 gaming rig. Titles like Stardew Valley or Celeste prove that a simple art direction can captivate millions without sacrificing quality. In my opinion, this is gaming at its purest, focusing on the player experience rather than a competition for the sharpest shadows and the highest resolution textures. So, where does that leave us? The future of gaming doesn't have to be a choice between photorealism and nostalgia. It's about balance. It's about putting player experience first and recognizing that graphics are just one piece of the puzzle. Whether a game looks like a Saturday morning cartoon or a live-action movie, what really matters is how it makes you feel. And at the end of the day, games aren't just about what we see. They're about what we experience, what we remember of them, and what we come back to years later. And that's something no amount of ray tracing can replicate. Thank you so much for watching this video. If you like this one, maybe you like my next one. And as always, don't forget to like, share, comment, donate, smash the bell.